Hi, I am super excited to share one of the contributors on our research methods in special education text, Dr. Wilhelmina van Dijk, who is a postdoctoral fellow at Florida State University. Willa helped with our experimental methods chapter and has a wealth of knowledge about using quantitative methods in special education. Willa, I'd like to start with having you share a bit about how you became interested in quantitative research methods.
So it's a funny story because I didn't take any math or statistics after I graduated from high school back in the day. And I didn't take my first research methods slash applied statistics course until the first semester of my second year in my PhD program. And I found that I really liked the logic of the applied statistics, where if you follow the steps, you will get the answer that you want. Just the way of thinking about how to analyze data and how to get to the answer of your research question really appealed to me. I find it very logical, and the questions kind of flow together. And then when you learn more about methods, you can also see how they build on each other. It's not like regression is something completely different from ANOVA or from structural equation models. And actually it's very similar, but you have to kind of realize how similar it is before you can see the logic. And yeah, logic just applies to my life, I think.
That is interesting. How would you, if you could do anything differently in your doctoral studies or earlier in your career, what would you have done?
Um, I I think I probably would have tried to do a PhD earlier than I did. So I was in the classroom for about 8 years before I went back, and I first went back for a master's in special ed, and then I went through to do my PhD. So I probably would have liked to have done that earlier, and I may have switched to more quantitative methods than specifically special ed.
So you discovered your love of quantitative methods in your PhD program.
Yes, pretty late.
And you know, that's okay. And you turned out great and you're doing wonderful work. What advice do you have for graduate students interested in quantitative methods and interested in special education?
I would say a lot of students maybe feel scared about statistics, um, and maybe are afraid to dabble in it more. Um, and I would say just try it out. Nothing ever goes great. and that's normal. You know, you are in class and your teacher gives you a data set and everything works fine and you're like, "Oh, I got it." And then you get your own data and it doesn't work and you're like, "Oh, well that is not great." choice words. Um, but that's normal. So I think that's the advice I would give, is to try stuff out with different data, because it doesn't always work out the way you think it would, but that's where you learn things. And it can be very frustrating at times, but also very rewarding when you figure out like how to do it so it will work the way you thought it would.
There's that whole
Yeah, and just don't be scared to try. It's just a lot of trying and failing, and that's just the way of life, I think.
it's part of it, and we work in applied settings with students who do not follow that normal curve, and so
No.
that really has to play into our methods of analyses and our data sets, and I think that's what it makes it fun and I know you do too, and it's just been a pleasure to have the opportunity to ask you a few questions and to thank you for being a contributor for our text.